Let's dive right into this explainer. Going through the source material for this, I was absolutely blown away to uncover what's basically a hidden garage economy. We're talking about everyday people who are generating consistent, very real extra income using small, imported machines. Right now, there are folks out there with a compact machine running quietly in their garage, literally generating cash while they're at their day jobs, or just going about their normal lives. We're going to look at exactly how they're doing this, because they're looking in places most side hustlers completely ignore, and the machines they're using are definitely not what you typically expect. Which brings us to a really fascinating core question. Is there a machine in your garage making you money right now while you sleep? I mean, if the answer is no, it's probably because you've just written off the idea of importing machinery altogether. People assume it's way too complicated, or that you need some massive investment fund or deep industry connections to make it work. But the fascinating truth is, regular people, without trust funds or special inheritances, are tapping into this exact model right now. Here's the kicker though, the barrier to entry is just shockingly low. For as little as $800, which is less than you'd probably spend on a quick weekend getaway, you can actually acquire commercial-grade equipment that solves real everyday problems in your local community. It completely shifts how you should view starting a business. It's really not about needing huge piles of capital. It's about making a smart, highly targeted purchase.
All right, let's move on to our top machine categories revealed, touring the 4 major blocks of opportunity.
So as you can see here, these opportunities really break down into 4 manageable blocks: food and drinks, light manufacturing, services and maintenance, and niche recycling. Now, food is usually the easiest entry point simply because, well, people already buy food every single day. You don't have to convince them to eat. But honestly, whether you're looking to manufacture physical goods right from home or offer a super specific maintenance service, there is a dedicated machine designed exactly for that purpose. Let's zoom in on that food block for a second. The chewable flake ice machine is an absolutely brilliant example. Chewable, nugget-style ice is a massive, massive trend right now, especially in the US. But here's the thing, a lot of small local cafes just don't offer it because the big-name commercial machines cost a fortune. But get this, for just $800 to $2,500, you can import a compact unit yourself. The play here is to start by offering it on consignment or as a monthly rental to maybe just 2 or 3 local cafes. The secret? You pitch the increased customer satisfaction for their drinks. You are selling them the end customer experience, not a piece of technology. Once they see their regulars loving the new ice, boom, you use that social proof to lock in 10 more cafes. The upside is just huge compared to that low initial cost. Or how about the automatic cotton candy machine? The profit margin per serving on these is literally off the charts. They basically run themselves, 0 prior experience needed, and you can grab one starting around $200. The specialty sugar costs mere pennies, but you're turning around and selling those servings for $3 to $5 at school fairs and weekend farmers markets. When you want to scale, you just buy a second machine and hire a trusted neighbor or family member to run it. The ultimate strategy here, though, is leveraging unique Instagram-worthy colors. Think cloud blue or strawberry with sprinkles. In this space, the crazy visual aesthetic on social media sells almost as much as the sugar itself. Now, shifting gears over to light manufacturing, the small CO2 laser cutter is proof that personalization is an absolute goldmine. This machine lets you engrave wood, acrylic, and leather for things like custom signs and wedding decor. You just start simple by opening an Etsy shop or a local Facebook page. And guys, here is the golden rule for custom goods. The second you add personalization, like a specific wedding date or a family name, you can immediately double or even triple the price of that product. Because at that point, you aren't just selling a piece of wood anymore, right? You're charging for the emotional meaning. Plus, this is totally something you can easily run as a second shift at night without ever having to quit your day job. I love this quote from author Morgan Housel because it perfectly hits the nail on the head as to why we're focusing on food and basic services rather than, fleeting tech novelties. He notes, people don't change as much as we think. The businesses that work are the ones that solve a constant human need. Take a second to really think about that. We want businesses that have real staying power. Long after the latest viral trend cools off, people are still going to need exactly what they needed 10 years ago. That's exactly why these foundational machines are so remarkably reliable. Next up is the ultimate profit multiplier, where machine number 30 breaks all the rules. So I actually have to pause our regular list for this one because out of all 30 machines analyzed in the source data, the semi-automatic vacuum sealer is the absolute ultimate value multiplier. Why? Because professional packaging can bump up the selling price of almost any other product you make by a massive 20 to 40%, Whether you're making beef jerky, artisanal soaps, or candles, a professionally vacuum-sealed package takes it straight from a homemade hobby to a premium commercial product. Honestly, if you have any of the other manufacturing machines we've talked about, this is your mandatory next investment. You can even offer sealing services to other local makers just to create a whole second stream of income. Let's move on to the tale of two importers, Daniel versus Alex. To truly wrap our heads around how this works, we really need to look at this cautionary tale. Because it's not just about what you buy, it's entirely about how you approach the market. Look at Daniel's strategy here on the left. He validated the demand in local Facebook groups first. He actually went out and asked people if they wanted engraved gifts before he spent a single dime. Once people started asking for prices, only then did he buy the laser cutter, and now he's pulling in $800 to $1,500 extra bucks a month. Then we have Alex. Alex bought blindly. He went out and purchased the most expensive UV printer right out of the gate, assuming the highest price tag meant the highest profit. He actually waited until the massive machine arrived to even start looking for customers. And now, that machine is sitting completely unused in his garage, acting as a ridiculously expensive coat rack. And worse, he's out all the money he spent on the machine, the freight, and the customs. So let's cover the 4 fatal beginner mistakes and talk about how to protect your investment. To make sure you don't end up like poor Alex, you absolutely need to follow this golden rule and the correct order of operations. Step 1. Always validate the demand first. Find the problem or the local demand that people are already paying to solve. Step 2. Only then do you purchase the specific machine that solves it. Let me say it again. Do not buy a machine and then try to invent a customer for it. It just doesn't work. And aside from buying out of order, you have to dodge these 4 fatal mistakes. Number 1, ignoring the total costs. The price tag you see online is usually just the base cost. If you aren't calculating freight, insurance, and customs, your margins are going to be totally ruined. Number 2, buying a cheap home use machine for daily commercial use. Look, if a cheap machine breaks down after 2 months, you are losing way more money on repairs and angry customers than if you just bought the heavy-duty version up front. Number 3, skipping required local health and vendor permits, especially for food businesses. The permits cost a fraction of what the machine does, but you literally cannot operate legally without them. And finally, number 4, treating that first sale like it's the finish line rather than the starting point for customer retention. The real money in business is getting that customer to come back and refer their friends. If you can avoid these 4 massive pitfalls, your chances of succeeding just absolutely skyrocket. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a challenge. Which machine's demand will you validate in your local market this week? Seriously, don't just consume this information, say, that's interesting, and go right back to your day. Take that very first super low risk step. Jump into a local community Facebook group, ask a simple question, and just test the waters. Because that tiny little step, that is almost always the only difference between staying stuck with a cool idea and actually building something real in the secret garage economy.